Hi, welcome back to the workshop for episode 14 of the ES335 build, and in this episode we're finally going to get to glue the back onto this thing. Okay, so having made all of our spool clamps last time and having a quick run through to make sure that everything is as it needs to be on this, we're kind of at the point now of getting this back glued on. However, before I do that, there's just one last little job I want to do, and that is take off these little bits of excess rib that are poking out of the front. So I'm just going to whip them off of the bandsaw and then we can get gluing. Okay, so that's those two little tabs trimmed off. It's probably not the final shape of that area. We can clean that up and finalise it when it comes time to kind of do the neck pocket and fit the neck properly. But with that done, there is really nothing else for me to procrastinate about. So it's time to break out the glue and get this thing glued on. Great big lumpy bit of glue there, we don't want that in there. And that's probably far too much glue. But at least on this half I can clean it up again. I won't have that luxury when we put the top on. Okay. Now I've took the time to glue a little bit of cork onto these coils as well, just to protect the outer surface of the back when I clamp it up. Okay, so that's it glued at the front and the back, and I've got one big F clamp in the middle there. I'm going to start working my way around now with some of these little spool clamps. And I'm literally just pushing and pulling this into position as I go around. I mean, truth be told, it's not too far off most of the way. And I'm just going to use as many clamps as it takes to get it all kind of lining up nicely. And then I'll go and fill in the gaps to get clamping pressure right the way around the outside edge. Okay, and there it is, all glued up. I stopped talking halfway through that glue up and started clamping a lot faster instead, because I was starting to lose the glue a little bit. But it's all gone together really nicely. There are a few little bits where I know I'm going to have to do a little bit of trimming up, but I was kind of expecting that, and I said in the last episode that it wasn't going to go together absolutely 100% perfectly. But on the whole, I'm very happy with it. And I've had a bit of a clean up inside because there was quite a bit of glue squeezing out there, but it's all nice and clean and everything is clamped together nicely, so yeah, happy days. So I'm going to leave that in the clamps overnight and we'll have a look at it again in the morning. Okay, so it's the following morning. Glue's had plenty of time to dry, so we'll get all these clamps off and see what it looks like. Okay, and there it is. It is going to need a little bit of cleaning up around the edge. There are one or two places where it doesn't kind of align perfectly, but on the whole, I'm really happy with that. And it sounds quite nice when you give it a tap, so that's all good as well. So I'll bring you in a bit closer and we can see exactly what we're dealing with. I'm not really sure how well you can see that, but most of the inconsistency is around this area of the horns. But I did notice on the drawing that the ribs in this section are drawn to kind of taper in at that point. So I think that is actually correct to have that little bit of an overlap there. Of course, it's not going to weaken it any if I thin that down because it's glued directly to the centre block, kind of through that section. So that's not an issue at all. There's a little bit on there that needs thinning down. And there's a couple of little places here where the top is slightly proud. But other than that, we're all really close. So what I'm going to do is break out the spindle sander to do in these tight areas, and then I'll just get a block with some rough paper on to flatten all this off and then sand it up to a fairly nice finish. Okay, and there it is. Kind of, it's all been rough sanded now and it's all leveled up nicely. So really happy with the way that that's gone. There is that little rough spot there where the top is actually below the rib. But of course we need to route 1.5 millimeters from this edge to fit the binding, so I'm pretty confident that will get routed out then. So all in all, I'm really happy with that. It's gone down nicely, and I've managed to get it to clean up to the right shape, so that's all good. Okay, so getting the back glued on is real progress. I'm really happy with how that's gone, and it actually is starting to look a lot more like a guitar body now, which is great. So logically, the next thing we need to do is get the top glued on. However, before we can do that, we need to cut out the F-holes. But I'm going to leave that till next time. So as always, like if you've liked, subscribe if you haven't already done so, and I'll be back in a couple of days with the next episode. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye bye.